Okay, so this should be recording as well. And so when you go into JobsEQ, when you log into JobsEQ, you can come to this All Tools page. All of the data within JobsEQ are grouped into different analytics, and then those different analytics are grouped into different sections on this All Tools page. So we'll go into some of the specific sections here on this All Tools page, and then we'll get into some of the specific analytics that might be helpful for you and your roles. So we have the reports section that has some ready-made reports that you can download as a PDF or a Word document. So if you're looking for a lot of information about a topic like an occupation or a program or information for the Perkins 5 report or the CLNA, you can start with these reports and then dive a little bit deeper into the other analytics to find some more specific data. We also have the demographics section, which has some different demographic information like age, gender, race, ethnicity. The occupation section has some different information about occupations that your students could be going into, including demand for those occupations, wages, and employment for those occupations. And then the education section has some different information for post-secondary institutions within your region, including your own school, and also some skill information as well. So I won't have time to cover everything in this 2 hours, but I will try to cover some of the most common analytics that might be helpful for you. And the first one I want to show you is Occupation Snapshot. Occupation Snapshot is where you can find a lot of information about the occupations that your students could be going into, or maybe that you're wanting to research a little bit more, including demand for those occupations. So if I click on Occupation Snapshot, it will take us to the analytic. And when we enter an analytic, we can click on these 3 horizontal lines to open up the query window if that's not open already. We can also click the lock icon to lock this query window in place if you want. And this is where you can choose different regions or occupations to look at. So here you can look at a single county if you want to, such as Hamilton County. You can also look at the entire Cincinnati MSA. You can also look at Ohio as a whole too, or the entire USA, or a specific zip code or ZICTA. So I'll use the Cincinnati MSA for now, if that's okay with everybody. And you can just choose a different region by typing it into this region box. You can also use custom regions, so groups of counties or groups of zip codes, or a region based on a radius or drive time as well here too. But I'll just start with the Cincinnati MSA for now. But again, you can change the region if you'd like. Then for the occupation, you can look at different occupations. So if you are looking at a specific occupation that your students might be going into, or maybe an occupation that you want to develop a program for, you can enter this occupation here, or the SOC code or occupation group. You could also use total all occupations to see all of the occupations within the region to get an overview of those occupations and the employment and demand for all the occupations within your region. We also have this magnifying glass on the right-hand side where you can explore different occupations. So here in the SOC occupation section, you can see some different occupations that you can choose from along with their corresponding SOC codes. If you click on any of these left-hand arrows, such as the healthcare support occupations, you can also see this broken down a little bit more and more detailed, and you can continue to keep clicking on these left arrows to further become more detailed. So this is one way to choose different occupations. We also have some different occupation groups or clusters that are pre-built within JobsEQ that you might be interested in. So if we click on this occupation clusters section, this will give all the pre-built occupation groups that we have in JobsEQ, and that includes some different CTE clusters or career technical education clusters that might match your programs. So, for example, we have advanced manufacturing, arts, entertainment, and design, healthcare and human services, CT clusters, that are groups of occupations that you might be interested in. We also have some other clusters here, including these BLS groups. So, for example, this associate's degree BLS group would give the occupations that have a typical entry-level education as an associate's degree. So if you're interested in just those occupations, you can check out this associate's degree group. We also have occupation groups related to remote jobs, green jobs as well. So there's a lot of different options for looking at different occupations. For this training session, does anybody have anything specific that you want to look at, or should I just choose one? So I can choose one. Is healthcare and human services CT cluster okay with everybody?
Yes.
So I can choose this healthcare and human services CT cluster. But if there is another occupation or occupation group you wanted to look at, you can enter that as well, either just by using this magnifying glass on the left hand, on the right hand side, or you can also type it into the occupation box. You can also choose the stock level that you'd like to look at. So if you're unfamiliar with SOC codes, SOC stands for Standard Occupation Classification, and that is a way to classify each occupation to a six-digit SOC code. So each occupation is classified to a six-digit SOC code, and then those six-digit codes are grouped into five-digit codes with similar characteristics. Those five-digit codes are grouped into three-digit codes, and then those three-digit codes are grouped into two-digit codes. So the two-digit SOC codes are those broadest groupings of occupations and includes things like office and administration, uh, uh, includes the office and administrative support occupations, food preparation and serving related occupations, healthcare practitioners and technical occupations, and so on. So you can choose anywhere from the two-digit broadest groupings of occupations all the way down to the six-digit SOC level to see those detailed occupations within the region. So I look at those six-digit SOC codes or those detailed occupations within healthcare and human services. Then we can click Run to run this analytic. So here we can find occupation snapshot, and we can see the occupations that fall within this healthcare and human services CT cluster, along with their corresponding SOC codes. Those are listed in the rows. And then the columns are broken into three sections. We have the current section, the historical section, and the forecast section. So we can find a lot of information about those occupations. The first column is current employment. So if we wanted to see how many people are employed within a specific occupation, such as nursing assistants for the Cincinnati MSA, we can find that here. So there's 12,275 nursing assistants employed within the Cincinnati MSA. We can also find the wages for these different occupations. So here, this is mean annual wages, but you can also choose median annual wages if you'd like by changing the wage type section in the query window. But I'll just keep with mean for now. So we can see the mean wages for these different occupations that your students could be getting if they go into these occupations. So for nursing assistants, the mean annual wage is $41,900, and it will also be specific for the region you had entered. So in this case, the Cincinnati MSA. You can also click on any of these column headers to sort it from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. So if you'd like to see which occupations within healthcare and human services have lower wages, you can click on this column and we can see that shampooers, non-servers, or food servers for non-restaurant and personal care aides have the lower wages within this occupation group. You might also be interested in looking at the unemployment and unemployment rates for these different occupations. Maybe you want to focus on occupations that have the lower unemployment rates so students can find work a little bit easier. So here for the unemployed, for nursing assistants, there is 647 unemployed nursing assistants living within the Cincinnati MSA. And the unemployment rate is 1.3 or is 5.1% for nursing assistants, which is a little bit higher than for registered nurses, which has an unemployment rate of 1.4%. You can also compare this to the region as a whole by scrolling all the way down to the bottom.
New
We have
thing,
this,
Denise. I mean, there's a lot of people on it. I don't know. Did you get a thing about it?
we also have
It's called
the, um,
there's one tomorrow too. I'll make sure I get it too.
you may want to mute your microphone.
No, this is
Who's hosting?
Kelly
So-
Harper and her bunch.
So you, for the unemployed, there's
In Elliott's.
but 54,414 people that are employed in all occupations within MSA. And the unemployment rate for the region is 4.1%.
Unsuccessful in semester, and I think it's their second attempt. One of them is changing majors in the fall. If I tell him this, he is, I mean, first of all,
Bonnie,
verbal violation. Second of all, I
Bonnie.
don't know if they're gonna reapply. You know, like, there's only so much I can know about their intention. Certainly, they're not registered for the fall because
Bonnie.
yet. So
I'm going to mute them. I think I can do it.
Yeah, please.
Think. Okay, so for the unemployment rate for the region is 4.4% for the region. But you can also compare that to a specific occupation. So in this case, for nursing assistants, a little bit higher than the region as a whole at 5.1%. We can also find some more information about the current demand for these occupations through online job ads with this online job ads column. And this shows the number of online job ads that were active in the last 30 days for each of these occupations. So for nursing assistants, there was 517 online job ads that were active in the last 30 days for this occupation. And if we click on this blue number, we can see those specific job postings, including their job titles, the employers of those job postings, when the job posting was or the locations of the job postings, when it was posted, and if it is still active on the website, or when it was removed from the website, and then any wages that were pulled from the job postings too. You can also dive a little bit deeper into these occupations and these job postings by clicking on the job title. And you can see that job description here too. And then if it's still active, you can click View Original to view the original job ad and apply. So this job ads section here is where you can find some information about job postings, including the specific employers and the job postings that were active in the last 30 days. So this provides a little bit of information from job postings, but you can find a lot more information from job postings in another analytic called RTI, which I can show you in a little bit. But this is just a snapshot for job postings and the current demand through those job postings for different occupations. You can also see how the occupations have fared in the past to see if they have been a growing occupation or declining occupation in the past with the historical section. So right now this is a 5-year history, but you can change the number of years you view with the historical years section in the query window. So if you'd like to see a little bit further out in the past, you can change this to 10 or just anywhere between 1 and 10. But I'll just keep this with 5 for now. So we can see the total employment change over those number of years you selected. So for example, for nursing assistants, the employment dropped by 15 workers over the last 5 years, whereas registered nurses, the employment has increased by 2,005 workers over the last 5 years. So it has been a growing occupation. Then we also have the historical annual percentage change here to see which occupations have been growing the fastest. If you click on this column, we can quickly see which occupations within healthcare and human services have been growing the fastest within the Cincinnati MSA and which ones have been declining the fastest as well. So you can see that historical change. You can also see whether these occupations are forecast to be in demand in the future or whether they're forecast to grow in the future with this forecast section. So right now this is a 1-year forecast, but you can change the number of years you view with the projection years section, the query window. And you can choose between 1 and 10 years for this. So if you'd like to see a little bit further out into the future, you can change this to 10 or just anywhere between 1 and 10. But I'll just keep this with 1 for now. So you can see the total demand or the total forecasted number of workers that are forecast to be needed for each of these occupations for the Cincinnati MSA in the next year. So if we're looking at nursing assistants, 1,702 new nursing assistants are forecast to be needed to be trained to fill the need and demand for this occupation for the MSA. This total demand column, if we click on this column, we can sort it so we can see which occupations within healthcare and human services are forecasted to be the most in demand. And this total demand column is the sum of the next 3 columns, the exits, transfers, and employment growth. So these 3 should sum up to the total demand column. Exits is the demand in new workers due to workers changing or workers leaving the workforce for things like retirements or for going back to school and leaving the workforce or raising a family and leaving the workforce. So 723 of the nursing assistants are forecast to be needed just due to people leaving the workforce for things like retirements. Then we also have the transfers. So that is the forecasted number of workers that are forecast to be needed due to people changing major occupation groups. So for example, this is moving from a nursing assistant's occupation to a construction worker. They're very large occupation changes, and this would be the number of people that are forecast to be needed to backfill those positions. Then we also have the employment growth column here. So we can quickly see which occupations are forecast to grow or decline in the next year. So it looks like nursing assistants is forecasted to decline by 1 worker in the MSA over the next year. But there is still high demand for this occupation because of the exits and transfers and need to replace those workers. Then we can also see the forecasted annual growth rate here as well. So if we click on this column, we can quickly see which occupations within the healthcare and human services CT cluster are forecasted to grow the fastest or decline the fastest as well. If you'd like to share this with other people, you can also export this to Excel, Word, PDF, or an image. And I know I went through a lot of different terms here. So if you do have questions with what any of these terms mean as you're working in JobsEQ, you can click on this question mark icon. And there is a video tutorial that is available for you. This will be specific to what whichever analytic you're on. Then we also have the help documentation section, and that will also be specific to the analytic you're on. When we click on this help documentation, it will take us to the help page for occupation snapshot. And here you can find a definition or description of the analytic, along with some technical notes for sources of the data, if you're interested in that, as well as a description for each of the columns here too. So if you do have questions with what any of these definitions are, you can always check out the help page by clicking on the question mark icon and then help documentation. You can also ask your question using live chat. So you can ask an economist or mathematician Intramural a question, including what any of those definitions mean or what any of those terms mean. And we can quickly help you get an answer to your question. So occupation snapshot can be really helpful for looking at a lot of information for different occupations that your students could be going into. But any questions with occupation snapshot right now?
No.
So I have been looking at the Cincinnati MSA, but you do have an option to look at different regions. For example, maybe you want to include another county within plus the MSA, or maybe you want to look at just a few different counties within the MSA, or maybe a region based on a radius or drive time. You can do all of that by creating a custom region and then using that within JobsEQ, including occupation snapshot. So to create a custom region, you can go to this profile icon in the upper right corner. And here's where you can create different customizations like occupation groups or industry groups. But I will go to region to create a custom region. Here's some regions I have already created, but I'll click create new region to create a new region. So we'll have to name our region, and this will be the name that we're referring to in different analytics and JobsEQ. So I will name this Cincinnati State Technical and Community College custom region. You can also share this custom region with other people on your JobsEQ license by clicking on the share this region box. So once you create and save your custom region, your team members would just have to type in the name of your custom region into an analytic like Occupation Snapshot to use it too. The custom region status is set in draft mode until you click save and it'll change to ready. And then you will also have the region resolution. The region resolution is the building blocks for your custom region. So if you want to create a custom region based on counties, you can use the county region resolution. You can also use the ZICTA region resolution. ZICTA stands for Zip Code Tabulation Area, and is similar to zip codes. So you can see those ZICTAs in this map. And you can create custom regions based on those ZICTAs or zip codes. But I'll go back to county for now. And then there are 6 different options for creating a custom region here on the left-hand side of the map. So one option is to click to select them by using the select option. So you can click to add your different counties or ZICTAs. And if I save this custom region, my custom region would now consist of the 4 counties or this entire shaded region. You can also type them in if you want. So you can type in Cincinnati, the Cincinnati MSA. Then we can also type in another county like Clinton County to add that as well. Your JobsEQ license has this region as the region that you can look up data. So this is your region. that you have access to. But you can also create custom regions for just a few counties within the MSA if you'd like, or a few ZICTAs if you'd like. But I will save this custom region so then I can use it in other analytics. I also do want to show you a couple other features that are available if you are interested in. So I will go to a new custom region. Another option for creating a custom region is creating a region based on a radius. So if you think your students are going to be working within a 30-mile radius from your school, and you want to focus on that area to find the data that you're looking for, you can use this radius option. And you can enter a 30-mile radius, for example, and then you can enter an address with latitude, longitude, or click a point on the map. So I can use the address I found for your school, 3520 Central Parkway, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45223. So that would be the central location around this, and then we'll have a 30-mile radius around that point. So here we have that radius around that central point that I selected. But if I save this custom region, any county that touches or intersects this circle will be included in entirety in the custom region. So all of this county will be included, and all of this county will be included, and all of this county will be included. So it might be a lot bigger than the circle we had created. And if we change the region resolution to ZICTA, now any ZICTA that touches or intersects this circle will be included in entirety in the custom region. So all of the ZICTA will be included, or all the ZICTA will be included. But it might be a little bit smaller than if we had selected county region resolution. So that's why we recommend using the ZICTA region resolution for the radius option or the drive time option if you are wanting to use those options, because it would be more granular and closer to the circle you had created. So there is an option to create a custom region based on a radius. You can also create a region based on a drive time with this drive time option. So if you think that your students are going to be working within a 45-minute drive time from your school, you can use the 45-minute drive time, for example, and you can enter an address or latitude, longitude, or just click a point on the map for that central location. So I will just use that address again. Then you can also choose different times of day. So if you'd like to choose a peak commute time or non-peak commute time for your drive time, you can select that. Or you can use just the average time of day. And then we'll click run to run this. So now this shows the 45-minute drive time from the point I selected. But again, any ZICTA that touches or intersects this orange spot will be included in entirety in the custom region because my region resolution is ZICTA. So it might be a little bit bigger than this orange spot, but you can also create a custom region based on a drive time as well. So there are a lot of different options for creating custom regions. But once you have created one and saved one, you can click on Region Preview to see the region that you'll actually be drawing data from when you use it in Analytic. So here, this can be helpful for looking at regions created by a drive time or radius, because you can see the ZICTAs or counties that will be included within that custom region. Then we can also click Run Analytics to see a pop-up window with some different analytics we can run with custom regions. So this is a way to move quickly between different analytics. So if I go back into Occupation Snapshot, we can type in the name of our custom region to use it in an analytic. Depending on the size of your custom region, it might take a little bit more time for some analytics to run. But here within Occupation Snapshot, if we select a custom region, now we can see data for those occupations for the custom region we had selected. So in this case, this is the Cincinnati MSA plus the additional county, Clinton County too. And you can see the employment for those occupations as well as the demand and unemployment rates and so on. You can also click on the three dots next to this region option to see that region preview again. Or you can also explore regions to explore different regions you can select. We do have this customs option here. So if you click on that arrow icon, you can see your custom regions that you have created using this My Custom section. You can also see the custom regions that were shared with you on your JobsEQ license with the Shared by Others section. So if you're not really sure what the name of a custom region is, you can always explore them with this Explore Regions option. So there are a lot of different options for looking at different regions, including MSAs or counties, zip codes or ZICTAs, cities, and also custom regions too. But any questions with creating a custom region or using those in analytics? If you want to look at more information about an occupation, maybe something that you want to share with students, you can also click on any of these blue titles for these occupations. And that will bring up a pop-up window again with some different analytics you can run with for this specific occupation. But if we go into occupation profile, this will give us a lot of information about this specific occupation. So here we can find for nursing assistants a description of the occupation, as well as typical entry-level education and work experience requirements for this occupation. So for the typical entry-level education for nursing assistants, the post-secondary non-degree award would be that certificate level. You can also find some information about the education levels that people who are working in as nursing assistants within your region actually have. So although that typical entry-level education is a post-secondary non-degree award, there are some people that just have a high school diploma that are working as nursing assistants. So in this case, there's 42.6% of the nursing assistants just have a high school diploma equivalent. There's also 23.0% of nursing assistants have some college no degree, which would be also that certificate level, along with 12.8% have an associate's degree. And then there's also some people working as nursing assistants that have a higher education level as well. So you can see that educational attainment and typical entry-level education for this specific occupation. But if we keep scrolling down, we also have this regional post-secondary program section here that can show the post-secondary programs that are linked to this occupation, this nursing assistance occupation, along with some different schools that have this, that are conferring awards for these programs, including your school, and then also other schools within the region that are also conferring awards for this specific program linked to the nursing assistant's occupation. We can also click on the Wages tab to see the mean entry-level experience level wages for these different occupations. Then also wages by industry. So for nursing assistants working in the nursing care facilities industry, they make an average annual wage of $41,700. But if they worked in the general medical and surgical hospitals industry, they might make a little bit more with an average annual wage of $42,400. So this occupation profile can give a lot of information about a specific occupation. If you are wanting to share this with students, you can also export this to Excel, Word, or PDF to be able to export this, and you can be able to share this with students as well. So this is another way to explore an occupation that your students might be going into. But any questions with the occupation profile? So I did mention about you can find some job posting data here in the online job ads column, an occupation snapshot, but we can find a lot more information about job and from job postings in another analytic called RTI. So go into RTI next. RTI is in the big picture section of the all tools page, and it is our job postings analytic. There's a lot of information you can find here within RTI. And if you are curious, RTI stands for Real-Time Intelligence because this is updated daily. And within RTI, you can find a lot of information for different regions here. You can specify your region. You can also specify the job ad status. So if you are looking at job ads that are currently active right now, you can use the currently active job ad status. And these are job postings and data for job postings that are actively seeking applicants right now. You can also choose to see job postings that were active during time period, newly posted during time period, or closed during a time period. If you want to look at the job ads that were active during a time period, you can use the job ad status as active during. And then we can also choose the time frame to look at. So we can look at the job ads that were active within the last 12 months if we want to, or the last 30 days. We can also look at the job ads that were active during a specific year. Or we can also select our own time frame with these calendar icons. So that includes the start date and the end date for your own time frame. Now just look at the job postings that were active within the last 12 months. And we can also add some filters here to further filter the job postings to just look at the ones that you're interested in. So for example, we can add an occupation filter. So if there is a specific occupation that you're wanting to look at and look at job postings for, look at what employers have job postings for that occupation, you can enter that occupation here. You will use that healthcare and human services CT cluster again, but you can choose a different occupation or occupation group here too. You can also add some more filters here. So for example, we also wanted to filter by an education level, we can also use the education level filter. So for example, we may want to just focus on those lower education levels and that are being requested from job postings. So we can look at just the job postings that don't specify an education level, or maybe specify a high school diploma, or maybe an associate's degree. So then it will further filter the job postings to meet all of these filters here on the right-hand side. And you can continue to add some more filters if you'd like. So for example, if you're looking at a specific hard skill or certification and the job postings that are requesting those skills or certifications, you can continue to filter further. But I'll just use these two filters here. So then here in the middle section, we have some information about those job postings that meet all of these filters here on the right-hand side. So those are those healthcare and human services occupations that are the lower education levels that are also that were active sometime within the last 12 months for the Cincinnati MSA plus Clinton County. And we can see those job postings broken down by occupation here to see which occupations are the most in demand as seen in job posting for your region. And again, if you click on any of these blue numbers, you can see that pop-up window with those job postings and those specific job postings, including those job titles, employers, locations of those job postings, when the job posting was posted, and if it's still active on the website or when it was removed from the website, and then any wages that were pulled from the job postings. You can also export this to Excel, Word, or PDF to be able to share this with students or with other faculty members. This Excel file or the PDF or Word document that I export includes everything from the table, but it also includes a couple other columns, including this URL column. These URL columns don't require JobsEQ login. So you can share this with students or faculty members who don't have a JobsEQ login. And these URLs will take you to the job description. And then if it's still active, you can click View Original to view the original job ad and apply. So if you do want to share these with students or with faculty members, sharing this URL column or this entire export is a way to be able to share these with people even if they don't have a JobsEQ login. So you can see this job postings broken down by occupation. You can also see it broken down by location to see which areas within that Cincinnati MSA plus Clinton County have the most number of job postings that your students might be able to apply for, along with employers for those job postings. So those top employers that are listing job postings that meet all of these filters on the right-hand side. So if you are working with employers for different job opportunities or cooperative learning opportunities, here are some different employers that you could reach out to if you haven't reached out to them already. And you can click on any of these blue numbers again to see those specific job postings for that specific employer. And you can also change the max rows to look at some more of those employers too. So besides employers and the occupations, you can also see those job postings broken down by job title. And then also the hard skills and soft skills that are requested from those job postings. So these are some of the top hard skills and soft skills, or those are in-demand skills that you may want to include with your curriculum if you don't have them included already. Those are requested. That can be helpful if you are looking at a current program and occupations that your students could be going into right now, or for possibly new programs as well. Then you can also see the experience levels that are requested, education levels that are requested from those job postings, post-secondary programs that are requested. So a lot of those job postings are requesting nursing or medical assistant or physical therapy programs. Also certifications that are being requested. So these are some of those top certifications that you may want to include with your curriculum if you don't have them already. And also the job types. So how many of those job postings are full-time versus part-time, temporary, whether they're remote or they don't indicate as remote. We also have this view additional data section here. So if you click on the wages tab or this wages checkbox, you can add wages that are listed in the job postings to the tables. So if we scroll back up to the employers table, we can see which employers have the higher wages as listed in their job postings. We can also scroll all the way back up to this occupation table to see which occupations have higher wages as listed in their job postings. And these wages are just coming from the job postings for an RTI. And then also at the top, we do have this line chart here to show how the number of job postings have changed over time. So you can see whether those job postings and occupations are becoming more in demand or less in demand. So I know there's a lot of information here. You may want to play around with the different filters and information here within RTI. But RTI can be really helpful if you are wanting to look at what employers are hiring, what job postings are out there, seeing those specific job postings, or seeing what skills or certifications are being requested by employers through their job postings too. You can also, if you like, you can also set up an RTI alert to have job postings sent directly to your email, and you can share those job postings with students too. So these RTI alerts, you can click on this alerts bell icon here to create an alert. And this will let you add some different filters here for the job postings that you're looking for. And this query section. You can also add the sections that you want to see within the RTI alert for this sections part. And for this delivery options part, we can also add some different recipients here. These will have to be people who have a JobsEQ login, but you can add people on your JobsEQ license here for your recipients. You can also select whether you want to see new job postings or closed job postings added to in within your email. So you can choose the new job postings and see those new job postings or the ones that were closed within a day or a week or both. Then you can also see the frequency and select the frequency for these emails if you do choose to create an RTI alert. So you can create an alert to get an email daily if you'd like. So each day you can see those new job postings. You can also have the alert go weekly. So see the number of new job postings or closed job postings each week. Then you can also choose the day of the week that you want to get that RTI alert as well. So creating an RTI alert will let you be able to see those new job postings or closed job postings without having to continually run RTI every week or every day. And you can get those directly to your email. But just using RTI, you can find also a lot of information, and you can run this multiple times to get the new job postings or closed job postings or active job postings and employers that have those job postings. So now that there's a lot of information here, but any questions with RTI? So RTI can be really helpful for looking at the demand for job postings or demand for different occupations that your students can be going into through those job postings. But you might also want to take a look at what your students are actually doing. So what employers they are actually working for, or if they are working for occupations that match their program that they went to. So if you do want to take a look at what your graduates are doing, we also have another analytic called Resume Forensics. Resume Forensics is similar functionality to RTI, but it's looking at the online profiles from LinkedIn for looking at what workers are actually doing, including what graduates are actually doing. So here you can look at different regions again. We also have this filter by where people live, work, or went to school. So if you want to see online profiles for people who live within the region, you can use the live query type. You can also use work, but I want to see the online profiles or resumes for people who went to school within this Cincinnati State Technical and Community College custom region. So I choose the went to school. Then I can also add a filter. So if I just want to look at your graduates, I can add a filter for the Cincinnati uh, State Technical and Community College. There are multiple ways for writing the name of your school, but we have all of those resumes or online profiles listed in one name, and it should match the name that is being reported to the National Center for Education Statistics. So in this case, it's the Cincinnati State Technical and Community College one here. So I'll add this filter to see just the graduates that went to your school. So here, this will be all graduates, but we can also look at a specific occupation or program, choose to see the graduates for that program and to see if they are working in that same field or if they are working in other fields, what employers they're actually working for too. So I'll also add a programs filter here. So I will use the nursing assistants program. Then I'll click apply. So now it'll further filter the job postings or the online profiles to just graduates of your school that list the nursing assistance program on their online profile. So here we can see the locations, the resident location, so where they are living. So if they are still living within the same area or if they move to other areas like other states or other regions. But it looks like a lot of these graduates are staying within the region. We can also see the schools and the programs that they have listed in their online profiles, along with award types. So whether they got a certificate degree or an associate's degree. Also the graduation year. So here you can see which graduation year they have. And since your JobsEQ license has the online profiles, you can also click on these these numbers here, which would be blue for you. And you can see those specific people that have these online profiles. And you can see those LinkedIn profiles as well. This license does not have the profiles, so that's why I can't click on them, but you would be able to click on these numbers and see those specific people and those specific graduates. We can also see the employers. So this is employers from their most recent job opportunity or their recent job. And so you can see which employers your graduates are actually working for now or most recently. So things like Tri-Health, Cincinnati Children's Hospital, Department of Veterans Affairs. These are some different employers that they are actually working in now or most recently. You can also see their most recent job title. So most of these are related to the medical field. So your graduates for the nursing assistance program, a lot of them are staying within the medical field. But you can also see it broken down by occupation to see if they are staying within nursing assistance or the medical field, or if they are working in other occupations. You can also see the certifications, hard skills, and soft skills that they have listed in their online profiles that they either learned from when they were at your school or also elsewhere. And this is another way to compare your curriculum to what graduates actually have. for their hard skills or certifications or soft skills. Then we also have the link school section here. So for students who either went to your school before or after going to another school, this will show the other schools that they went to, either before or after they graduated or went to your school. So some students got another degree in the Cincinnati State Technical and Community College, your school. They also could have gone to the Northern Kentucky University, University of Cincinnati, or some other schools here too. And if they did go to another school or go on to get another degree, you can also see the programs that they went for, and then also the award types or the award levels, so the degree levels that they also went to if they moved on to a different educational level. So within resume forensics, if you're looking for what your graduates are doing and what your graduates are actually, which employers they are working for now, resume forensics is a good way to look at what your graduates are actually doing too. But any questions with resume forensics? Switching gears a little bit, you might also want to look at more information about graduates of your school or graduates of other schools and what types of programs other schools have, either competing schools or partner schools. So we can find all of that in the awards analytic. Here within the awards analytic, there are 3 different query types. One query type is the programs by school. So you can look at a specific school within your region to see what types of programs and degrees they have. So you can look at your school or also partner schools or competing schools to see what types of programs they have. That could be a way to see what other programs you may want to include or within your curriculum, or just be able to see the types of graduates for different schools. So if I select your school here, the Cincinnati State Technical and Community College, we can see the programs and the number of awards broken down by different degree levels. This data comes from the National Center for Education Statistics, and the latest available is the 2022 to 2023 academic year data. So it is a little bit further behind than maybe what you're used to, but you can find a lot of award data for other schools here too. And that includes the programs for those, the programs, and then also the number of awards that are conferred for these different degree levels. And then for any of these programs that your students could be going into, like that nursing assistance program, you can also click on this arrow icon to see some different occupations that your students could be going into. So career pathways from a program to some different occupations. And that's based on our Septisat crosswalk. So you can see the demand for these occupations as well as the employment, wages, and then a sample of online job ads. So this is a good way to look at a specific school, including your school or other schools, to see what types of programs they have. But you may also want to look at what schools have a specific program. Maybe it's one that you have yourself already that you may want to know if it's a program that is unique to your school, or maybe one that is that you're wanting to develop, and you can want to see what other schools have that specific program too. So you can change the query type to the school list by program, and you can enter a program here, such as that nursing assistant program. Then you can see the uh, you can see the other schools that have this specific program besides your school. And then if you click on the show more details box, you can see those degree types broken down a little bit more. But you can also see the addresses of each of those schools, latitude, longitude, URLs, totals for enrollment, and average net prices. So if you are wanting to compare different schools against your school, this is a way to be able to compare those schools and see what other schools have a specific program too. But any questions with words analytic? Okay. So you can also look at the number of graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within your region compared to the demand for this occupation to see where there's some gaps too with the word gaps analytic. So with the word gaps analytic, this compares the number of graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within your region compared to the the demand for this occupation for that region. So here on the left-hand side, there's a supply deficit. So there's more demand for these occupations than there are graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within the region. So here, these are different occupations you may want to develop curriculum, develop new programs for. If you are wanting to develop new programs, there is a supply deficit for them. So those include things like aircraft mechanics and service technicians, industrial engineers, bookkeeping, accounting, auditing clerks, childcare workers, and so on. Whereas on the right-hand side, there's a supply surplus. So there's more graduates that are produced by post-secondary institutions within your region than there are demand for these occupations within your region. This does treat the region as an island, so if no graduates were coming in, no graduates were leaving, this would be where there would be supply surplus or supply deficit. But some of these occupations, like these registered nurses and these graduates, might move to other regions, so you might want to take that into consideration too. But if the region was treated as an island, some different uh, occupations where there's a supply surplus, including registered nurses, nurse practitioners, software developers, public relations specialists, and so on. This just might mean that your graduates are going to other regions to be able to work. So you can see that by occupation. You can also see it by program if you want, by changing the query type to program. So then you can see that by program. You can also choose this less than 2-year gap, for example, to see where there are the most supply gaps and supply deficits for at the 2-year level. So if you're wanting to develop new programs, these are some different programs that you may want to develop because there is a larger deficits for these programs. This program's query type only shows the deficit. So if you select a program where there is no deficit, you may not be able to see that. But this is one good way to see where there could be some of those supply deficits, either by program, or you can also see it by occupation and see which occupations have a supply deficit or supply surplus that you could develop new programs for, or even justify the current programs that you already do have too. Any questions with the words gaps analytic? Okay, there's a couple other analytics I do want to show you. And the next one I'll show you is occupation diversity. So this is switching gears a little bit. If you are wanting to know demographic information about people who work in an occupation, including an occupation that your students could be going into, you can use this occupation diversity. So here you can look at different occupations. We can also just look at a specific occupation or occupation group, like the Healthcare and Human Services CT cluster. And this chart display type lets you see the different charts of age breakdowns, race breakdowns, ethnicity, gender breakdowns for people who work in healthcare and human services. So it looks like a lot of the people that work in healthcare and human services within that Cincinnati State custom region are female. And then there's also some males that are working in those occupations too. But if I change the display type to table, we also see some different categories. We can actually see the number of people that work in these different categories, like broken down by age, gender, race, ethnicity. But if I go into the education and training requirements category, this will show the education and training requirements for all occupations within the healthcare and human services CT cluster. So if I just want to focus on the healthcare and human service occupations that have a typical entry-level education as a post-secondary non-degree award, I can just focus on those occupations. So I can click on this typical entry-level education column to sort it. And then if I just want to focus on those occupations, I can also click on the checkboxes on the left-hand side here to just select those occupations within the healthcare and human services CT cluster that have a typical entry-level education as a post-secondary non-degree award. Then I can click Create Group to create a custom occupation group on the fly for just those occupations. So I can name it Healthcare and Human Services Certificate level. You can also share this with other people on your JobsEQ license if you want to by clicking on the share box. But I'll click Save to save this. This is where you can go into other analytics, like if you want to see more information about these occupations within Occupation Snapshot or RTI, you can go quickly into those occupations or those analytics. But I'll go back into Occupation Diversity. And you could just type in the name of that custom occupation group to use it in an analytic. And if I go back into the education and training requirements category, now I'm just focusing on those occupations in healthcare and human services that also have the certificate level, the post-secondary non-degree award level as a typical entry-level education. So if you do just want to focus on a certain education level for a certain group of occupations, this is one way to be able to do that just by creating that custom occupation group and then using that within different analytics and JobsEQ. We also have the education or educational attainment category where you can actually see the people that are working in these occupations and the educational attainment that they actually do have too. And so you can compare the typical entry-level education requirements to the educational attainment that people actually do have. So occupation diversity can be really helpful if you are wanting to know more about the people that are working in a certain occupation or occupation group, including their age breakdowns, gender breakdowns, race breakdowns, or if you wanted to see the typical entry-level education or educational attainment of people who are working in those occupations. But then we also have some more demographic information in demographic profile. Demographic profile is an analytic where you can see more information about demographics of residents within your region. So this can be helpful if you are working on grants or just want to have an idea of what the residents within your region actually look like. There are 4 different tables here in demographic profile. The first table is a summary table. And here you can find population data, uh, then also the residents broken down by gender, age, race, educational attainment, or ethnicity, population data, economic data like the labor force participation rates and sizes, per capita income, mean commute times, educational attainment of residents within the region, housing data, like those who uh, have a home, the number of housing units, homeowner vacancy, rental vacancy, also social data, so those in poverty, disconnected youth, children in single parent families, and so on. You can also see this historically if you want by changing to the historical mode. And so you can see this historically, such as the 18 to 24-year-olds or those college-age students and people, and how that has changed over time. You also see that graphically with the graph icon. And most of the data from demographic profile comes from the American Community Survey 5-year estimates. So the latest available is the 2019 to 2023 estimates. So it is a little bit further behind than some of the other data within JobsEQ, but it does give you a lot of information about residents within your region. Also within demographic profile, you can choose the unemployed table to see some different data for unemployed people within the region, including the total number of unemployed people, then also broken down by age, gender, race, ethnicity, veteran status, and educational attainment. Also household income data, so you can see the total number of households in your region, the median and mean household income, then also the number of households broken down by income type, income bracket. Then we also have the region stats data. So that includes some different community data for non-custom regions, K through 12 characteristics, electricity rates, and union membership rates. So any of that information you can find in demographic profile. But if you do want to map that, you can also map it by clicking on any of these blue titles. So if you are wanting to map the 18 to 24-year-olds and see where they are located, you can click on this 18 to 24-year-olds. And then you can quickly see it in maps where those are located. So this is by percentage, but we can also click on the gear icon to update our query and change this to numbers. So we can quickly see which areas within that region, Cincinnati MSA plus Clinton County, have more 18 to 24-year-olds. You can also add some labels here with this label section. So we can add the value or the name or both. And you can see all of that information here in maps and quickly see which areas have the higher 18 to 24-year-olds. You can also export this if you'd like. So if you'd like to see every ZICTA, you can also export this as an image, or you can also export the data to Excel, just be able to see all that data at once for all those different regions. So some other things you can find here, besides these 18 to 24-year-olds, you can also map anything from demographic profile with this demographics variable. So if you're ever interested in something from demographic profile and you want to compare different regions or map them, you can find that here. You can also map industry data, occupation data. So if you wanted to look at nursing assistants and where nursing assistants are working within your region, You can also map that. So you can enter nursing assistants at the occupation. And once we map this, we can quickly see which areas, so which ZIC does, have more nursing assistants working within those regions. So these are some different areas that your students might be able to find work maybe a little bit easier because there is more people working as nursing assistants in those areas. You can also map other data here, commuting data, unemployment rates, award data, online job ads. You can map all of that information here. So for example, if we're looking at nursing assistants and wanting to see which county has the most uh, online job ads for nursing assistants, we can also map that as well. So these counties here, Butler County and Hamilton County have more job postings for nursing assistants compared to the other surrounding areas. So these are areas where students who might be going into nursing assistant occupation where they may be able to get jobs. But any questions with maps or demographic profile or industry or occupation diversity? So I went through a lot of different information. If you do want a lot of information in one spot, rather than having to go into these different analytics, you can also use these reports. So if you wanted to know a lot of information about an occupation, like those nursing assistants, you can go into this occupation report. This occupation report will give you a lot of information pulled from several different analytics in JobsEQ, some information about an occupation or an occupation group. So if I wanted to look at nursing assistants again and just focus on nursing assistants, I can enter that occupation here on the right-hand side. You can also choose the wage type as mean or median, also the file type as a PDF or a Word document. On the left-hand side, you can also select or deselect sections of the report you want to include or not include, or move them to drag them around to move them. You can also add your school logo information to the cover sheet if you want to by clicking on this checkbox. And to add that to JobsEQ, just click Edit Add Company Info. Once we are ready to run the report, you can click Run. The report will go to the Notification Center, which is this bell icon in the upper right corner. It might take some time to run depending on what else is in the queue in front of your report, but while you're waiting for it to run, you don't have to stay on this page. So you can go to other analytics, you can even log off if you want to, and it will still run in the background for you. And then once it's ready to download, there will be a red dot next to the bell icon, just letting you know it is ready to download. So while we're waiting for it to run, I also want to mention that you do have this Perkins 5 report. So if there's anybody that is working on the CLNA or the Perkins 5 and want to get some information that can be helpful for that, you do have the Perkins 5 report that can be helpful and give you some information to help with that report. Then you can also create custom reports by clicking on any of these clip icons in any of these tables. So for example, if we're going back into occupation snapshot and you want to be able to create your own custom report, you can click on these clip icons and that will let you add that table to your custom report. And you can find the custom report in this report builder section. But we do have a lot of information with these other reports here in this report section, including this occupation report, which it looks like it is ready to download because there is a red dot next to the bell icon. So if I click on it to download it, this occupation report here has a cover sheet And this will be where your logo information will go if you wanted to add that to your report. We also have occupation snapshot data. So that's from the occupation snapshot analytic. We do have these light bulb icons down here. So this can be helpful if you are sharing these with other people, like students or faculty members or other faculty, and they're not sure what these definitions are. These do provide a little bit of information about some of these terms in this section. We also have employment by industry. So for nursing assistants, you can see which industries they're working in and the demand. Also the wages for this occupation. So in this case, nursing assistants, occupation demographic information, post-secondary programs linked to that occupation, along with schools that have these programs. Job posting data from RTI, including what employers are hiring. Skill and certification gaps here. Occupation gaps. Geographic distributions, both where people work and where they live. And also a regional map, so the region that you're drawing the data from. And also some data notes here too. And region definition. And also some frequently asked questions for some of the terms in the report. So if you just want a lot of information about a topic like an occupation, you can start with these reports or use these reports and then dive a little bit deeper into the other analytics if you do want to research something specific. Any questions with the occupation report? Okay, so I did go through a lot of information, so I do want to show you a couple other resources that are available for you. So we do have a search bar at the top. So if you are searching for something specific like wages, and want to find more information about wages for occupations that your students could be going into, you can type in wages at the top. And it will give you a search bar with some different search options with some different analytics you can run related to wages, including occupation wages. So this is one way to quickly get and move to different analytics for a specific topic. If you do have questions as you're working in JobsEQ, we also have the live chat feature. So you can ask a lot of different questions to economists or mathematicians in Chimera, including where can I find this data? What are the terms in this report in this analytic? Or what is this data available within JobsEQ? You can find a lot of different information just by asking a question here in this live chat, and we can quickly help you get an answer to your question. Chat hours are 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, but even if it's outside of those hours, so maybe you're working early or late, you can still type in your question, and then we'll just get back to you the next business day by email. So I highly recommend using this live chat if you do have questions. But we also do have this question mark icon that has some additional resources for you, including some video tutorials for some of the analytics, and then also the help documents that provide definitions for the terms in an analytic. And it will be specific to the analytic you're in. If we're on the All Tools page, it will take us to the help page, the general help and reference materials. And here you can find some information about navigation, data sources that we use in JobsEQ, some of the methodology notes, description of the classification systems that we use in JobsEQ. On the left-hand side, we also have this video library section here. So that includes all the video tutorials that we have in JobsEQ, including getting started with JobsEQ, most popular analytics, some different tutorials for specific analytics in JobsEQ. And if you are working on CTE, there's also some CTE data here too, and video tutorials here. Also, if you log in, you can come to this homepage here. Can be helpful if you are just starting out with JobsEQ and you're not really sure which analytics can be helpful for a topic. This can help guide you into some different analytics. So here on this homepage, we do have some different use cases or questions that education clients have. So maybe, for example, you want to research job demand for students. You can click on this demand tile. You can also discover credentials and skills your students need or link programs to student success. If you want to research job demand for students, you can click on this tile. And this research question is further broken down. So you can research demand by occupation or by industry or just have more demand analysis. If you want to research demand by occupation, you can click on this tab and it will give you some different analytics and steps that you can take to research demand by occupation for your students. So for example, you can gather the baseline occupation statistics using occupation snapshot. Then you can also find employers hiring in your region and live job ads using RTI. So this homepage can be really helpful if you are wanting more of a step-by-step guide into some different analytics that can be helpful for answering a specific question. Or you can also use the All Tools page to find all of the analytics that you have access to with your JobsEQ license broken down in these different sections. So I know I went through a lot of different information. Any questions right now or anything else you want to go over? Or because I know you probably just want to go in and play around with this. Okay, so if you do have questions, feel free to use that live chat to quickly get an answer to your questions. If you would like any additional training sessions or shorter support sessions to go over some more information about a specific topic or a project that you're working on, you feel free to either reach out to me or your CRM, Jason Roundtree, to set up an additional training session or support session. But otherwise, in the meantime, you can always use the live chat to quickly get an answer to any of your questions you have. So if there is no questions right now, I hope this helped you learn a little bit more about JobsEQ, including what is available within JobsEQ. And feel free to reach out if you do have questions. Since this is recorded, I will send this off to be put on our YouTube channel as an unlisted video. And once that link is ready, I will also send that to you too. But otherwise, I just hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, just have a great rest of your day. And hopefully this helped you learn a little bit more about JobsEQ.
Thanks, Jessica.
You're welcome. Now stick around for a few minutes if you do have questions, but otherwise, have a great day.